Hi, everyone. Welcome to Prevention Education, the podcast that teaches you everything about prevention. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Everyone, welcome back to another Prevention Education episode. I am your host, Kylie, and this episode, again, will just be me, so hopefully you guys don't get too bored with me. But we're actually talking about a really important topic today, and it's going to be about talking to kids about alcohol and other drugs and how you kind of start that conversation. A lot of people know that it is important to talk to youth about this topic. However, a lot of people don't know how to bring it up, or they think maybe like if I do bring it up, then they think I'm approving of it, and it just kind of spirals into this ball, and you just decide that you don't want to bring it up because you just don't know much about it, or you don't want to put in their minds, or it's just a sensitive topic and all those things. So, I'm here to tell you that it's a very important thing to talk to youth about alcohol and other substances. In this episode, we will mainly be focusing on how to talk to them about alcohol use, but we are going to be starting a series on how to talk to them about marijuana, nicotine, or vaping. And then I'll also dive into age groups with this series. And so this one will be more of a generalized how to just talk to kids. But in the next few episodes, it'll be how to talk to grade school kids about these substances, how to talk to middle school kids about these substances, and then high school, and then potentially even college. So I hope you guys tune into all the episodes because this topic, like I said it multiple times already in this episode, it's just so important to talk to youth about substances so that they know the effects, the potential dangers, and that they can choose a healthy path in life and have a healthy future. So one of the most important factors in healthy child development is a very strong, open relationship with a parent. And you might have heard one of the biggest factors of if they choose a healthy lifestyle or not is if they have one caring adult. And there's been so much research done on that. And one caring adult can just make a huge difference in a child's life. And it's a really important to talk to youth about this stuff because it shows that you care. And when they know that you care, they might come to you and ask more questions before they choose to use anything. Or they just trust you, so they'll come to you with anything. But if they know that someone is out there caring for them, that will definitely impact their decision making on things like substances. So just make sure that you talk to them. You can start at a young age, as early as 9 years old, they really start to understand what you're saying about substances, and also peer pressure comes in very early. So getting ahead of peer pressure, getting ahead of what their peers are telling them and what they hear about the world is really important so they hear it from you. So one conversation goal is showing that you disapprove of underage drinking and I mean other substances that you disapprove of other substances as well. But like I said, for this episode, mainly alcohol. So show that you disapprove. Over 80% of young people ages 10 to 18 actually say that their parents are their leading influence on their decision, whether they choose to drink or not. So make sure you are very clear with your message that you do not approve of underage drinking, that you just you don't want them to get into that world. So just make it very, very clear and send a very strong message to them, but don't be overbearing. Make sure that you're having the conversation with them and not just lecturing to them. So another conversation goal that you can have is you just want to show the child or youth that you really care about their health, their success in the future and in the present, and their wellness or well-being. If they know that you are on their side and you are there to help them create a healthy future for themselves, then they're more likely to listen. If you come in as more of a person going against them and trying to use them as a puppet and guide them where you want to go, where you want them to go in life, then they won't listen. But if you really show that you are there to care for them and you just don't want them to drink for their health and safety, then the conversation will go a lot better and they will be more willing to really listen to you because you are showing that you love them and that you are just concerned for them. So another conversation goal is show them that you're a really good source of information about alcohol. If you go in and you're like, oh, well, it's bad, and that's the only reason you shouldn't do it, they might not listen. Youth, whether you think this is true or not, they do make informed decisions about alcohol based on the information that they're given. Of course, they also make decisions very impulsively, and that's due to how their brain is developed and just growing up. But if you show them that you know the facts, that you are a reliable source of information, and that you aren't just making this stuff up, then they are much more likely to listen as well. So you just want to establish yourself as a credible and trustworthy source of information. And I'm not saying that you need to come in with the whole reference list and statistics and all of this, but maybe have a backup, maybe have a website. Like, for example, the website Talk They Hear You, put on by SAMHSA, is a really, in fact, a lot of the statistics that I say in this episode is from Talk They Hear You, put on by SAMHSA. So having that website up, they have a whole resource. I'll put it in the um, caption or description for this episode, excuse me. But just having something pulled up where you're like, oh yeah, I didn't just make this up. Here is a very credible website that has all of this information, and you can read it yourself too, or we can read it together. But this is where I'm getting this information from. So just make sure that you're not just making it up because they will not listen to you if your reason is because, or, don't ask more questions. It's just period. That's how this is what it is. They want to learn with you. So just make sure that you are a very credible source when you are giving them information. Number four, make sure that you are paying attention to them and you'll discourage the risky behaviors that potentially could occur. But so this could you could take this two different ways. Make sure you're paying attention in the conversation with them because it's a two-way conversation. Like I said, it's not a lecture. You want them to be interested in the conversation and listening to you, but you also want to be listening to them if they have questions or concerns, or if they're like, oh, yeah, Tommy in school the other day said that um, his parents have, a whole um, fridge of alcohol in their basement. Um, and he invited a group of friends over. Like, should I just say that I can't go? Like, what should I say to that? So they might have some questions, and you want to make sure that it's a two-way conversation where you are paying attention to what they are saying and taking in what they're saying. So you're not just following your agenda of what you want to go through in this conversation, but you're just helping them to go through it together. Um, and then you can also take it in the way that you want to pay attention to what they're actually doing in life. So if they're going to a party, um, maybe ask other parents that you know that their kids are going to be there. If they fully trust where the party is happening, ask them questions when they get home from the party. When you drop them off, make sure they know, like, hey, I'm a phone call away. If it's an uncomfortable situation or if there's alcohol or other substances, call me. I'll come pick you up right away. Just make sure that you are paying attention to what they are doing and you're not just being a very absent parent that just has the thought of, like, my kid's a great kid. They're not going to get into alcohol. Pay attention because even if they're a wonderful kid, this could come out of nowhere and it could be a world that they get themselves into. And then last but not least, number 5, make sure you are building your child's skills and strategies for avoiding drinking and drug use. So, like I said, even if you don't think that your child wants to experiment or try alcohol or any substance, peer pressure is a very, very, very powerful thing, especially in your youth. And I'm sure a lot of listeners know the effects of peer pressure. So make sure that you have a plan with them and make sure you have a plan so that they can avoid alcohol and drugs and make healthy choices for themselves. So you can talk with your child or um, just a young person in your life that you really care about, and you can lay out this plan of if you do get put in a situation where alcohol is present, here's what you can do. You can say, no, thank you. I'm choosing to make a healthy choice for myself, and I think you should too. Or you can just say, like, text me a code word, and, it's pumpkin. And when I see pumpkin, I'm coming to pick you up, no questions asked. And so then their friends around them don't see them texting their parent, like, there's alcohol here, I want to come home. It's just understood that this word means I'm uncomfortable, there's alcohol in this situation, and I would like to leave. So make sure that you keep it pretty low key and don't worry. Um, you don't have to get absolutely everything in this plan figured out, but as a situation arises, they will just kind of know what to do, how they can reach out to get out of the situation. But with those 5 conversation goals, I hope that you can start a conversation today with someone that is younger in your life. And just make sure with the whole conversation in general, don't put a lot of pressure on the conversation. Really make it low key, stress free. If you don't get everything that you want to say out in one conversation, that's okay because it should be a consistent conversation, an open dialogue between you and your child, and you just want to make sure that they are always um, that you are always there for them and that they are willing to come to you with any questions or comments or concerns that they have about substances. And just plan to have many short talks too, because it can just come up randomly, and that is okay. You want it to be very organic, and you want to make sure that you are there to listen, but also be someone who is providing information for them. So, with all of that being said, I really, really hope that even one of these goals can be achievable for you and a younger person in your life. And so, just make sure that peer pressure is really big in kids' lives, and one caring adult can really help them to choose the right decision of not using alcohol. And so, as that caring adult, I just really encourage you to start a conversation today. It's very heartwarming when you are that caring adult and can help a child choose the right choice. So, yeah, I really encourage you guys, start a conversation, help a youth that you know, and really encourage them to choose a healthy lifestyle and to stay away from alcohol. Um, yeah, so that is actually all that I have for you guys today. I am going to end this episode with a shout out. And so I mentioned the last episode that if it's just me, instead of doing a like fun get to know you segment, because it's a little awkward if it's just me asking myself questions, I'm just going to do a shout out. And so since I didn't do that at the beginning of the episode, it's going to be at the end of this episode. And my shout out goes to another listener, and that listener is Tucker. So, Tucker, if you're listening to this, thank you so much for all your support on our episode. We really appreciate each and every listener. So, thank you guys for everything you do for the youth in your community and for just diving into the knowledge of prevention. And if you are a listener, I would love to give you a shout out as well. My email is Kylie, Kylie, Linberger, B as in boy, G as in girl, at pfh.org. So send me an email, make the subject line be Spotify listener, and I would love to give you a shout out, and I would love to learn more about you as well. So yeah, please email me. And if you guys ever have any questions about prevention, I'm also happy to be a source of information and answer any of the questions that you have as well. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you have a really awesome week, and I can't wait to hear from a few listeners, and I can't wait to talk to you guys next week. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you later. Bye. Thank you guys so much for tuning into our podcast. Remember to follow us on social media at PFH Prevention. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Spotify, and more podcasting platforms. And make sure to email us at moprevention@pfh.org with any questions, and feel free to call us at 660-627-7404. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.